Hello and welcome to the Podquest of Bread. My name is Henry Conley. Tonight we're going to talk about vigilantes. Of course, we're going to talk about vigilantes because last night, essentially a vigilante in Wisconsin killed 2 people after shooting 3 total people. And in a weird way, the entire right side of the political spectrum, the right side of the Libertarian Party, they seemingly decide to jump in and defend the shooter and not analyze the actual situations going on here. So there's a couple things I want to hit on here that really kind of got me with this whole situation. And the first one is, yet again, we are really seeing truly who the real face of domestic terror in the United States is. It's not that Muslim man living down the road from you. It's not the black man down the road that happens to own some guns. It's not the immigrant coming over the border. It's not the radical anarchist or the leftist or that member of Antifa. Yet again, it turns into being a white man who's a member of the alt-right, a back the blue guy, a supporter of police. And that's where the situation gets real interesting. Now, anybody that has been paying attention to politics and what's been going on in the recent weeks would recognize that Donald Trump has been doing a damn good job at trying to make it appear as though the anarchists, Antifa, protesters, they are inherently violent. Anybody that's been paying attention has been noticing that he's been working real hard to paint a picture of who the true enemy is. And the problem here is we've seen him go silent when, yet again, the people that typically back him are the ones perpetrating the crimes. Now, I'm not going to talk much on what happened prior to the video where you can see him getting shooting someone in the stomach after being put on the ground. I'm not going to talk too much about that. There's no point for me to talk about that. From everything I've been able to gather, someone threw what was a bag with a half-empty Coke bottle at him, and from there he then shot someone in the head, after which the crowd decided to chase him down in order to defend the person who was shot in the head and prevent others from being shot. They put him on the ground. They were going to attempt to detain him until police arrived. He then shot someone in the stomach, and then another person who pulled out their personal defense weapon, they were shot in the arm. After which this guy calmly approached police. He was able to get water from a police MRAP. You heard one police officer vocally thank him for being there and say that, they're glad that he was there. And then you also had him just able to slip behind police lines and safely get out of there. He was able to safely just head back home to his town in Illinois. Oh, that's right. He wasn't even from the town where this is all occurring. That's the other point that we need to talk about here. See, a lot of people want to defend him and say, oh, he was defending property rights. Oh, he was defending, his property or people's property that he knew. No, he was from another town. He wasn't even from the town that this was occurring in. He was from another town, one state away, approximately 15 to 20 miles away. He drove to Kenosha, and I know I pronounced that probably wrong. He drove there with the intent to defend private property that he didn't own, private property that he did not know the owners of. He drove there, and it's been admitted, there's video of him saying this, there's posts out there that he admitted he drove there with the intent of using his weapon to defend property, and he would have done it violently. Folks, driving an extended distance to a town that you have no relation to with your gun to defend private property, that's not defending private property. You're going hunting. He was there for one reason. He was there to kill someone. I don't know how else to put that. He wasn't there to defend people. In fact, the group he was with has been denounced by the chief of police, been denounced by the lieutenant governor, by the governor himself. They've been asked to leave. They've been asked to not be there. And yet he was there. He killed 2 people, shooting 3 people in total. He's a terrorist, and he was able to get away. But maybe shooting 3 people and killing 2 of them wasn't a severe enough crime for the police to act. Maybe he should have sold loose cigarettes. Maybe he should have played with a toy gun. Maybe he should have slept on his couch. Maybe he should have begged for air as police were kneeling on his neck. See, this is the problem I have. This guy shot 3 people. He killed 2 of them. And the police let him go away. The police let him get the fuck away. The police let him go all the way back to his town. The police literally took all day to issue a warrant for his arrest, to charge him with a crime, and to actually execute a warrant for his arrest. I do not hesitate when I say this. If this man had been any person of color, he would have been shot dead in the streets by the cops after he fired the first bullet. He wouldn't have been able to walk up to a police MRAP and be handed water. He wouldn't have even been able to approach the police with his hands up without the police firing around on him. But yet we see here a white man with an AR-15 not only firing off rounds into a crowd, not only killing people, but literally approaching the police with his gun, with his hand in the air and not being fired on. Receiving water from the police and receiving thanks from the police, and even at points receiving protection from the police. Folks, this is not something that you would see if he was any other color but white. And that's why we're fighting. Because for some reason, the police treated him better than they would have anyone else. And that's privilege. His privilege was to be able to go out there and to fire off multiple rounds. His privilege was to be able to approach the police with his hands up and a gun out. His privilege was to be able to receive water from the police. His privilege was to be able to flee the scene of a crime and a murder or 2 murders and get back to his home. He's a flight risk. That's what they would say. The fact that he fled the state back to his home in order to attempt to avoid criminal charges makes him a flight risk. And I can almost guarantee you somehow this guy is going to be able to make bail. Mind you, again, any person of color, if they fled to another state to avoid persecution for a crime they did or may have committed, they would be deemed a flight risk and be denied bail. They would be denied the right to leave. I would bet a lot of money to say this guy is going to be out of custody and be able to post bail. And that's where we face so many problems with this. Now, to everybody on the left, all of us that are out there, this serves as a shocking wake-up. Now, the alt-right, the Boog Boys, whatever you want to call it, whatever group he was a part of, because it's not known what official group he was a part of, they're hoping that something like this would scare us away. It's abundantly clear that this is something that they want to do. They're not dressing in tactical gear just to look cool. They're trying to incite violence. I've made fun of their tactical gear before because it's ineffective, but they are out there and they do want to boogie. They do want to play. And we just saw that last night. So what do we do as leftists? Do we stop the fight and do we just stand down? Do we say screw it? We're afraid. We don't want to die. I wouldn't blame some people on the left and some protesters if they decide, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. But what we do instead, and what we should do instead, is we should recognize that we need to arm ourselves. We need to be armed in order to protect ourselves. Because the thing that we've noticed is that when there's enough of us armed together, they're not messing with us. They're not going to go for us. They're going to leave us alone because that's something they're not prepared to deal with. Now, when this guy inevitably posts bail and gets out, we have another duty. And we have another duty to the two that died, and we have a duty to the one who was shot in the arm. And that duty is to ensure that when he is released on bail, and when the court case is inevitably swept under the rug, because he's a former police cadet, when he eventually gets a slap on the wrist, this is our duty. Our duty is to ensure that his name continues to be known. Our duty is to ensure that those in power and those in the courts and those in the criminal justice system know that we demand justice for the two that are dead. To know that we demand justice for the one who was shot in the arm. Because no justice, no peace. Well, it's going to keep getting realer and realer for those who are scared of that phrase. You can continue to let these people off with a slap on the wrist. You can continue to let these people just walk free with little to no consequences. You can continue to hit them with different aspects of the criminal code that allow them to walk free when others wouldn't. And we have the responsibility to keep the pressure on them and to ensure that they don't. Now, a couple of things I want to hit on here before I sign off for the night. I just want to recap this, because there are a lot of libertarians that are going to try and say he was defending private property. Understand this. Defending private property goes as far as your ownership of the property. You are not defending private property when you drive 20 miles in order to incite violence. That is not defense of private property. That is vigilantism. That is murder. And that is hunting. Stay beautiful, humans.